What if the parenting advice isn't wrong? It's just missing something. Not a behavior problem, a vocabulary problem. And that missing piece is why parents can't see it, because nobody closed that gap for them either. I know this because I was that child, and I spent 30 years looking for words nobody ever gave me, not understanding why I felt the way that I did. It wasn't until I came across a researcher, Lisa Feldman Barrett, and what she found changed how I understood everything, including the emotions I couldn't manage as a kid, including the ones your child can't manage right now, most likely the ones you can't manage either. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact gap that I don't see very much in the parenting space, and the 5 moves that can close it. Not because I'm a therapist, because I lived this from the inside, as that child. Nobody punishes a toddler for not knowing what a cow says. You sit with them, you repeat it consistently, you teach them, and when it clicks, you celebrate and you move on to the next teaching. That's how we teach everything we understand needs teaching. Emotional vocabulary. We expect that to just happen, or for them to just get it. And when it doesn't, we call it a behavior problem, or we blame them. We call it emotional regulation, like it's some kind of a switch. Like there's some dial, and a good parent just figures out how to turn it on. I tried that. It didn't work. And then I understood why. Because emotions aren't triggered, they're built. Your brain is assembling something in real time from what's happening in your body, from what happened before, from the concepts it has available to build from. And if the only concept a child has for what's happening in their chest, what's happening in their hands, what's happening in their shoulders, that's the only thing their brain can build from it. Most of what we call regulation is actually something else. It's vocabulary. It's giving the brain better material to build from before the reaction finishes assembling. You weren't taught this either. Neither was the person watching. This isn't a parenting failure. It's a vocabulary gap that went unnoticed because nobody had the framework to name it. When was the last time you actually had someone teach you about your feelings and how you experience them? When your child acts out, when they throw something or scream or shut down completely, what you're usually watching is a nervous system that has no better word or concept for what it's building. An underdeveloped brain with one blunt concept and nowhere else to go. I know what this looks like from the inside. I was that kid who didn't know which version of the person I needed most was going to show up that day. And my body, every single day, ran a kind of unstable charge waiting to find out. Panicked, anxious, ready for anything. The only word I had for that feeling was chaos. Not I'm feeling anxious because the person I depend on is unpredictable and my nervous system can't build a stable forecast. Just chaos. One word for everything my body was trying to tell me. And because chaos was the only concept available, that's the only thing my brain could build from. On top of that, I was running on Jolt Cola and sugar almost every day since I was 4 years old. My mom used to drink 3 cans of Coke a day. My body never had a stable day. Nobody connected what I was eating to how I was feeling because nobody had that framework yet. My nervous system was trying to construct accurate predictions from a platform that was already in the red before anything else even happened. So my nervous system did what any nervous systems do when they have no other language. It found things that got a response. Any response. Because any attention was better than the uncertainty of none. That was my brain running the most efficient prediction available to it. The only concept it had for I need connection was do something that produces a reaction, even if that connection was bad or abusive. And in some of those moments, I learned to go quiet. Like the part of me that needed something would just step back or even feel like I left my body because needing had started to feel like the problem and it started to feel like I was the problem. What I started noticing was that the concept I applied to the feeling changed what the feeling became. I'd be irritated, a minor disruption that needed a different approach, and I'd give it the biggest label that I had. And the moment I did that, the brain just built more of it. It just amplified. A small thing became an entire state of mind, an entire mood. Not because the situation escalated, because the concept in my brain did. But I also did the opposite. When I didn't want to make a big deal out of something or felt like needing to speak about my feelings was a problem, I'd give it no label at all. Tell myself it was nothing. And the body signal didn't disappear. It just went unattended. And it came out later, in a different moment, in a different direction. Because the brain never got a concept that matched what it was trying to build. Both of these are the same problem. Too big of a word, the brain overconstructs. No word at all, the brain keeps trying until it finds something that fits. Accuracy is the whole thing. getting the label right enough that the brain has something real to work from. When you tell your child stop overreacting, you're teaching overlabeling. When you say you're fine, it's not a big deal, you're teaching underlabeling. Both leave the child with the same problem I had. One blunt word for everything, or no word at all. Your brain runs a kind of internal accounting, tracking sleep, food, safety, connection. That's the platform your emotions get built from. Barrett calls it body budgeting. Budget in deficit, the brain builds differently. More threat, less nuance, less choice. Think about the last time you felt tired, or you were hungry, or maybe it was just a lot of stress at work that was taking a lot of energy from you. How much more irritable and annoyed were you? Think about when you've snapped at your kid and you thought, what is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Your body budget is empty. Your brain is constructing from a depleted baseline that has nothing to do with you being a bad parent or even a bad person. What matters for your child, you are their thermostat. The temperature you run at, the consistency of what you bring into the room, that becomes their baseline prediction for what to expect from connection. Their thermometer reads you before you read anything else, before a word gets spoken. And this goes in the other direction as well, because they can still raise the temperature in the room. However, you are the adult who can control the thermostat in the room. To show you what it actually looks like when a child is operating without the emotional skill set, here's the example. Do you think grandma loves that vase? That expensive vase? Yeah, she does love that expensive vase. Okay, what would happen if you broke that vase because you were kicking the ball in the house when I told you not to? Oh, well, grandma would be sad. Okay, well, do you want grandma to be sad? No. Do you want grandma to be mad at you? No. Okay, then what could you do with that ball instead? And when you look at something like that, providing a child an option, showing them, not yelling or punishing them, you can have a much more profound effect on them where they actually learn. When you indicate their feelings into the situation, especially their feelings towards their grandmother, you don't have to instill fear into them. You just have to let them know and connect with them on a humanistic level to where they are currently seeing the situation and guide them. Nobody told that child kicking the ball would hurt grandma. Nobody sat with them and said, here's what that vase means. Here's what the feeling is called. Here's what you can do with it. The concept wasn't there. You cannot regulate what you cannot name. You've probably heard name it to tame it, because the concept you apply to the feeling changes what the feeling becomes. More specific word, more precise construction, more option available in their response. That's not a parenting philosophy. That's how the brain builds emotion. Lisa Feldman Barrett's book, How Emotions Are Made, explains this clearly. I've been working through this for over 30 years, and that book changed my life. I used to teach hip-hop dancing in an after-school program for a while, and I learned more about nervous systems in those classes than I ever did reading about them. There was this large class, 30 kids, first time at that scale. I was dysregulated by the size of it. I pushed harder to regain control, and I completely lost the room. Not because those kids were difficult, because my nervous system was running threat, and every one of them felt it without words being exchanged. Their thermometers were reading my thermostat. And then when it came to the smaller classes, those were different. No rigid structure, no wrong moves. I got on the floor so kids could slide under me like a bridge. That was their famous request, a very popular move amongst the children, because I was taller than them, so they just wanted to slide under. I didn't hesitate, because the whole point was that they felt safe, free, and heard. Something opened in me in those classes. The kid I'd left behind somewhere. The one who never had that space. Who only knew chaos. Those kids owed me nothing. No history, no bond, no connection. And still, every one of them followed. Because my body was present. A child's nervous system knows when a body is actually present. They've been reading yours since before they had words. What goes unnamed in childhood doesn't disappear. It goes downstream. The soothing mechanisms I found as a kid, the things that matched the charge, that spoke the only language my nervous system knew at the time, those carried into adulthood. And so did the prediction that love is something you earn, that connection arrives with something attached to it, and the places an adult goes looking for what they never learned to find within themselves, that's just a nervous system still running on the only vocabulary it was ever given. I'm not telling you this to add another thing to feel bad about. I'm telling you this because this is what cycle breaking actually is. It's looking at what went unnamed in your own childhood and deciding this is where the vocabulary starts, in my house with my kid now. This is just another addition to where generational trauma ends and where human connection with your child begins. So what does teaching emotional vocabulary actually look like? 5 moves Something I wish I could have learned as a child that could have prevented me from making the detrimental mistakes that almost cost me my freedom in life when I was an adult. You model first. Name what you're feeling out loud in front of them, not as a performance, as a practice. I'm noticing I'm feeling frustrated right now. My chest is tight. I need a minute. Also, keep in mind saying I am feeling or I am noticing that I feel is better than I am frustrated because I am is an identity. You aren't your feelings, they build within you. Then you label what you see in them before you correct anything. Looks like your body might be feeling overwhelmed right now. Not a diagnosis, just a word, a building block. Because the moment they have the word, their brain has something to construct from other than chaos. And they might even give you a word back to correct you. And that's even better. Then you normalize it. The feeling is not the problem. The feeling is information. That makes sense. Of course your body would feel that way. You're teaching their brain that what it built was accurate, not something to be ashamed of. Then you guide them. Now the concept exists. Now that it's been named and validated, you give the body something to do with it. Movement, breath, space. You're giving the nervous system a better prediction to run toward. And then you repair. After the moment, when everyone is regulated, you come back. Earlier when that happened, what was going on for you? What is it that you wanted? You're deepening the concept. You apologize. You acknowledge how you probably reacted or how they were reacting. Adding precision, more options for next time. You're not teaching your child to control their feelings. You're giving their brain better material to build from. That's the difference. And it starts with a word. You didn't punish your kid for not knowing what a cow says. You sat with them. You repeated it. You celebrated when it clicked. That's all this is. Give yourself and them the same patience with the harder curriculum, the one nobody gave you either. The Body Signals Toolkit is what I built for exactly this. Because the vocabulary for what's happening in the body before the emotion fully assembles is a gap I saw in parenting resources. It's not about managing what's already arrived. It's about reading what your body is building before it finishes. Links in the bio.